Hello everyone, Maryann here, revealing light, tarot, astrology and spirituality. Wherever you are in the world when you're watching, a huge shout out to you. Remember when I did the kipper for Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, and I said that, I think it was in the present line, she's going to have something on her mind. It was either the present or the near future line. And we were wondering what that is. I said I thought it was one of the world conflicts would start to ramp up. And now I think it was either going to be the Middle East or something over in Ukraine, or it could have even been in my neck of the woods with China and the Philippines in the Pacific. It seems it was the Middle East. I didn't had the draw to the Middle East. And we've had Mossad implanting explosives in pages used not just by Hezbollah but also hospital personnel as well, and they've been detonated in civilian areas, and of course we've had massive casualties and injuries as a result, including in the civilian population. And then at the funerals of those that died due to the explosives in the pages, they were also using walkie-talkies, and the bombing has been the bombs have been put in the walkie-talkies, and of course they exploded, killing again not just Hezbollah but also civilians as well. And unfortunately, the great tragedy of this is that young lives have been cut short. Children have died as a result. This is not new when it comes to these kind of terrorist attacks that we once witnessed through jihadists who they were called, the bombers that came into civilian areas. We less expected that from a Western type of democracy, but it seems Israel has gone down that track. We've seen what's happened in Gaza, and of course the massive death count of civilians in Gaza. Now, I think this is what VP Harris might have, on her mind. The UN Assembly has also passed another motion saying they want Israel out of Gaza within 12 months. At the same time, the Saudi Arabian prince, he has, what's his name, bin Sarden, he has said no normalization of relationships with Israel until there's a two-state solution. So we've got this mounting pressure on Israel still. Now, in the past, what have we read here? We've read here that Netanyahu wants to keep the war going. In fact, it's not just me reading about it. It is experts, Middle Eastern experts and media are reporting that Netanyahu wants to keep the war going, of course, to stay out of the Israeli criminal justice system himself. He was facing fraud charges before all this started. He's clinging to power. We also know that the US ex-president called him up and said, do not accept a ceasefire proposal. So my question today around the Middle East, it looks like it is again the tinderbox that we've all been hoping there would be peaceful solutions. Doesn't look like there is. Is war with Lebanon and Iran inevitable? That's the question I want to ask today, and what would then be the US response? We'll go then to the US and see if the US government is going to shut down because the bill to keep the government funded, which included proof of identity for those for voters. It included that in there as well. Democrats said it's already law. Why do we need to do this? And they haven't been supporting the bill. Looks like Speaker of the House will have to go back to the drawing board and also negotiate with his own party, who members of which also didn't accept his bill. So it was almost a dead-on-arrival bill. Let's see if the Republicans can get their act into order, the House into order literally, and avoid a government shutdown. Also, I've been asked by Canadian viewers, will Justin Trudeau step aside from his Liberal Party before the next election, which is slated for October? I think it's October in 2025. There's pressure mounting as a result of a minor party withdrawing their support for Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party. There's pressure on Trudeau to call an early election. Will he step aside and allow new leadership to come through his own party, or does the opposition win? The DC January 6 hearing before the election is ramping up. How does that go for Trump? Remember, that is the one that examines whether or not any of his actions are immune. Now, Jack Smith was Special Prosecutor Jack Smith with many steps in front of Trump and his attorneys, and filed a superseding indictment before a new grand jury, which modified some of those charges down to make it very clear that there was no presidential official acts involved at all. And so we'll see. We're going to hear evidence. I said months and months ago that we'll hear new evidence we haven't heard. Indeed, that will be the case. We know now. Let's take a look at that. Also, when we did the last Kipper, not the last one, the time before, the Kipper on Trump, we saw that he would likely come into some money around September, and of course that's when he's eligible to sell his Truth Social shares. Let's take a look first. Let's go to the Middle East and the exploding pages. I'm using the Thoth deck and the Cairo Marchetti's Gilded Tarot, not the Gilded Royale, just the Gilded Tarot. Alrighty, let's get going. To the Middle East. Actually, I should have done this before I started, but I've been wanting to use the Radiant Wilds Tarot for the Middle East. And I'm just going to follow my hunch. People ask me what makes me choose my particular decks. It's just an intuitive process. All right, let's get this deck ready. Middle East. Lebanon, Iran, Israel, war. Will the Middle East, is it inevitable that there will be widespread, or is it inevitable Israel will go to war with Lebanon, Yemen? Yemen would be in there. Lebanon, Yemen, Iran. Let's take a look. Let's just split the deck. Okay, is it inevitable? Is it inevitable that Israel will go to war with Lebanon, Iran, Yemen? These are the main players. Is it inevitable Israel will go to war with Lebanon? Let's try that one. Okay, the King of Wands. So we get this kind of bold step forward, and of course these are very much desert scenes in this deck, and the Eight of Wands. So the two signifier cards straight away show me there is a very, very likelihood that war will escalate there, and that was my original prediction all those months ago. The Four of Cups, 3 cups lost, 1 cup remaining. That can be back against the wall. Disappointment. The Emperor is in the past. It's almost like there was a moment there when the US government could have acted in such a way as to prevent this escalation. It seems to say that control is in the past. The lever to control this, it has already gone. We haven't got to the end yet. And of course, there's always the money involved. Now, Saudi Arabia is talking about not recognizing Israel or not normalizing Israeli relationships until there's a two-state solution. That is the very thing that Israel does not want. Okay, so we get the King of Swords, planning and strategizing. We get the Four of Swords, which is ill health, can actually be death, the death of the Hezbollah hierarchy who had those pages, and a lot of other civilians as well. This can also be retreat and stepping back, but it's more likely to be the warrior that goes out to battle and does not come back, and there's a tomb and a statue made to him. The Hermit is isolation and review, introspection, the dark night of the soul there. So this is a very isolated Israel that is undertaking these actions. The hopes and fears tell us that there is an agenda that we can't see with the High Priestess, something coming yet into form. And we have the Death card. The Death card is the outcome, clarified by the Star. Okay, so war is not inevitable yet. And the Queen of Pentacles, stability. That's good. I'm glad. I'm not sure why that's the case. War with Lebanon is not inevitable. And we get the Eight of Pentacles. Looks like there are diplomatic talks which may involve the Ace of Pentacles can be money, moderation, and the Crossroads, a decision. So I'm glad to say that war with Lebanon is not inevitable. Now let's just check the other player in all of this, Iran. Okay. Will Israel go to war with Iran or any of its enemies in the Middle East? Will Israel go to war with Iran, Lebanon, any of these players in the Middle East? Will Israel go to war? A widening of the war in the Middle East. Will Israel go to war with Iran, Lebanon, Yemen? Any of these players? Will the Middle Eastern war? Will Israel go to full-scale war in the Middle East? And that's what they've done in Gaza would be what they would do elsewhere. Now, the Queen of Cups, interesting. That is nurturing, a nurturing energy. And then we get the King of Pentacles, again, land. It's all about land in the Middle East. King of Pentacles. And then we get the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is motivation. Four of Swords is in the past. Okay, so this, it's not inevitable, but I then ask, will they? Which in the first instance, there's some kind of diplomatic solution. This is a longer range view, the Eight of Swords. Restriction, we've got the Page of Swords. Some kind of information coming out in the near future, which is important. We get the Sun in the here and now, clarified by the Nine of Pentacles. Again, money, supply of resources. We get the Six of Wands in the hopes and fears, the victory, and we get the Knight of Wands. Now, this is where I think, and the Devil card, okay. I think that Three of Pentacles. So this second draw on whether or not it was they would seems to indicate it's more likely that rather than go to war with Lebanon in a full-scale war, they're more likely to go to war with Iran. And the King of Swords, planning and strategizing. So Iran hasn't stopped its strategizing, and indeed I don't think Israel has. Nine of Wands, guardrails, Three of Swords, heartbreak, and the Tower card. Okay, so war is more likely, not with Lebanon, but with Iran. And I asked a direct question, would that escalate? And the answer is yes. So I think the way that I would interpret that are there now solutions or diplomatic, some kind of diplomatic peace deal or brokering with Lebanon and and Israel. It doesn't look like that's going to escalate into war. However, the larger question, which included Iran, I'm afraid the answer was yes. Now, this indeed could be what is on Vice President Kamala Harris's mind. Now, I also want to remind people that Donald Trump, the ex-president, phoned Netanyahu and said, don't accept a ceasefire in Gaza. I also have read that the world mobilizes in some way and comes into Gaza, into that Middle Eastern arena as a result of something that someone has done. Okay, so what's the US response then to Israel's war with Iran and its other players? What's Israel's response? What is the US response to any future war with Israel and Iran? What is the US response to any future war with Israel and Iran? It's what people have been working hard to prevent, the Knight of Pentacles, so there would continue to be arms supply. The Four of Cups, it's not without its problems too. We get the Lovers card, relationship. So it stands by its ally, which is Israel. The Two of Wands, something coming to fruition in time. It's almost as if this was always going to happen. The Six of Wands in the sky is victory. We get the Three of Cups, so it's again supporting Israel. I probably need to go in any further. Supporting Israel with arms and money. Seven of Cups, illusion. There's an illusionary nature here. And the Queen of Cups. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I wonder what the US agenda here is as well. The Five of Wands is conflict in the hopes and fears. And the Page of Swords, I don't think it sends, and the Sun card, I don't think, and the Eight of Swords, restriction, it doesn't send boots on the ground. It continues to support Israel through provision of weaponry. Loans and debts, helping. Ten of Swords. Okay, there's a limit. There's a limit to how much the US will tolerate Netanyahu's warmongering. Okay, they would not get involved. There wouldn't be boots on the ground. Interesting. They would provide monetary and weaponry assistance to Israel, but they would not get involved in terms of sending soldiers there. That's an interesting outcome. Okay, so all right. Let's have a look at the government shutdown. Let's move the decks now. US government shutdown. What do we need to know about that? Okay, will the US government shut down? Interesting. I'm still on the Middle East. With Harris in the presidency, she may be less likely to send any sort of army, military assistance over to the Middle East. Netanyahu could find he may be fighting a war that he has sparked on his own. Okay, let's have a look at the government shutdown. All right, the government shutdown is the US. And of course, Mitch McConnell, the leader in the Senate, has said quite clearly that this would be on Republicans' heads, that the public would blame the Republicans. All right, so will the US government shut down, and will the US government shut down? All right, so we've got here Dominion, which is the Two of Wands, something coming to fruition in time. And then we get the Six of Pentacles, which in this deck is success. So this is loans, debts, giving someone assistance, something coming to fruition in time. And then we get the Knight of Swords, the truth of the matter as the foundation of the reading. In the past, we get the Death card, which is the end of something. Let's see what's in the sky. Four of Pentacles, which is power. It's also insecurity in the Rider-Waite deck. Okay, so someone's trying to assert their power. Doesn't look like there's a solution here. The Six of Swords, though, science, cooler heads, more logical approaches. Six of Swords is moving out of troubled water. There seems to be like there is a reprieve there. The Nine of Wands in the here and now is strength. It's also guardrails. And then we get the Three of Pentacles, works, in the works. So looks like they're working hard, or they will work hard to prevent a shutdown. The Ten of Swords is in the hopes and fears, which is ruin. So it's not a certainty yet. They're working hard to prevent it. There's a power struggle within the Republican Party. There's truth to emerge. And then we get the Prince of Swords in the outcome. Prince of Swords in the outcome, and then the Eight of Pentacles, adjustment, and further clarified by the Lovers. It appears that Trump might be, if not barking out commands to his own party, is somehow influencing. I think he would like a shutdown. Wow. When I think about how the US has been drawn into nefarious actions here, at the mercy of nefarious actors. Let's clarify this, because it looks like we've got the Prince of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Lovers in the outcome. This is a power move on behalf of somebody. I think probably Trump is in here. They're working hard, more saner heads working hard to prevent this. But there's a truth here that we must face. Will the government shut down? I hope I am wrong, but I'm feeling it might. Well, guardrails, Nine of Wands comes out again. Planning and strategizing, and justice. Okay, looks like there's a plan to avert it. It somehow comes Six of Pentacles. It's a short-term solution, but know this: there are very, very the energies behind this are very volatile. The Five of Cups at the base of the pack, no one wants that. The Knight of Pentacles, consistent supply. Okay, is Trump involved in this? Is Trump involved? Of course you're saying he is. The Four of Pentacles, there it is, the dominion and the power. So, likely that the shutdown will be averted, but there is a power play going on here. I'm going to say I'm coming out on the side that it probably won't, but there is, as I said, this wanting control energy there. Okay, so no, I don't think so. I think it's averted with a smaller spending bill. But there are volatile forces involved here and power plays, so anything could happen. Let's take a look at the January 6th hearing before the election. How does that go for Trump? January 6th. I'm pleased to say that if you're listening or watching polls, that Harris is ahead. The election remains very close. It's a knife's edge. Okay. January 6th trial. The January 6th trial. What's likely? How's this all going to go for Trump? The January 6th. It's a hearing to flesh out and talk about these immunity issues. I want to say John Roberts, the SCOTUS senior SCOTUS judge, who it's his court to control. There's been leaked memos showing he interfered, or deliberately intervened, I should say, to get Trump's immunity case out there and provide Trump with immunity. Very difficult situation there when you've got the head of the court clearly not acting in a bipartisan fashion, or even a hands-off, let's just say a hands-off fashion. He intervened. He took certain actions and intervened. So let's see. Smith, Garland, they're up against it. Let's take a look. Supreme Court will be reformed. Okay, but that's in the next government cycle. Okay, so the January 6th hearing, how's it going to go for Trump? The January 6th hearing, how is that going to go for Trump? This will be before the trial. Two of Cups. Okay, so we're going to hear about two or more people, the deal being done. The Hermit card, isolation and review. Okay, what's happening here? One of his allies, has flipped fairly badly, fairly strongly, and has cut Trump loose. He's thrown Trump under the bus. It's someone very close to him. The world endings, the ending of a major cycle is at the foundation. This hearing is important. We get the Three of Wands in the past, and that's waiting for one ship to come in. It's also overseas influence. Remember when January 6 occurred, I said there's a money trail here that leads to Russia, and people couldn't kind of see how that might happen. Yet now we know that content agencies on American soil, American-owned agencies who contract out to podcasters, far-right podcasters, took money from Russia and then distributed Russian talking points and paid these right-wing podcasters $400,000 a month to get these talking points out. So don't for 1 minute think that Russia was not interfering in what happened on January the 6th. I think you're going to find that out too. The Ace of Wands, planning, who was involved, planning, strategizing. And then we get the Death card. Okay, the Death card. The Death card comes up yet again. And with the World card, I want to say the overarching energies are one of, this is Trump's downfall. Whether you accept that or whether you don't, it's his downfall. The Knight of Cups will hear what was said and what was done to pull people in to achieve the ex-president's aims. The Seven of Pentacles, the Stop the Steal. This is the minor arcana, minor tarot card for manifestation. So we get convincing people that this is another way that we can hold on to government. So there it is in a nutshell. The Stop the Steal. The election, they knew the election was not stolen. They knew they lost the election. But there is direct evidence of Trump himself saying this is a way, or listening or agreeing to or acting on plans to overturn the election. I didn't win it fairly, now I can win it unfairly. There's Russia all over this. And then we get the Ace of Pentacles. It has to do with the money chain. The Ten of Pentacles. And then the Five of Cups. Okay, so one of the biggest things, the High Priestess, it's evidence that we haven't heard. Decisions, who made the decisions, who kind of advanced the plan. It's full illumination, and it gives more. It's more facts, the information that comes out. I think the biggest bombshell is that Russia played a role through indirectly financing January 6th. I think that's the biggest thing we've got that will come out. Now, don't for 1 minute think that this isn't somewhat foreseeable, given that Merrick Garland's office has been working on catching Russia interfering in the election. So that's going to be the big thing that comes out. Wow, Russia funded or was involved in funding, in spreading the Stop Steal lies. Russia was involved in a coup, attempted coup. Let that one sink in. All right, I'll go to Canada and then we'll finish the reading. Again, I have my Harris Cup, Madam President. It's interesting how the needs of the time, the needs of the time are met. VP Harris, it's going to be a close election. There's going to be skullduggery. But I see Harris in power in 2025. So there it is. I also want to say that I think there is someone, well, I don't know, I'll put it out there. I used skullduggery in a headline recently, and and then days afterwards, the Trump campaign headlined a press release using the word skullduggery. Coincidence? Or is someone actually watching these podcasts? Okay, let's move to Trudeau. I could do a reading on it. Maybe we will next video. Okay. All right, Justin Trudeau lost support of the minor party. There's calls to bring the election forward. Justin Trudeau, will you step aside before the 2025 Canadian election? Will Justin Trudeau step aside before the 2025? So the tower is falling, is what I'm seeing. This is a serious situation in Canada at this time. The opposition leader is Trumpian. I was going to say Trumponian. If he does step aside, then he allows someone to come forward. He's been in power for 8 years. He's not popular anymore. He's losing support. His own Liberal Party losing elections, albeit close elections. Let's take a look. Will Trudeau step aside before? It's an uphill battle for him to win the next election. He knows it. He's still got a fairly large following. Will Trudeau step aside and allow someone else from his Liberal Party to contest the 2025 election? Will Trudeau step aside? Knight of Wands, quick action, quick movement, and the Nine of Pentacles. I think he sacrificed a lot during his time as Prime Minister. Let's take a look. Nine of Wands, he's weary. I'm feeling he will. The Ace of Swords in the past, a lot of truth has come out about decisions he's made. I don't think he's standing again. Yep, walking away from what no longer serves him. I think he steps aside. King of Pentacles, that is the business person. It's also Trumpian energy as well. I think he understands if he doesn't step aside, it's an uphill battle for the Liberal Party to win again. Moderation. He understands people want moderate, good, centralist type of policies. He understands all that. The Wheel of Fortune. He understands also Canadians don't want extremism in their country. The Two of Cups, in the hopes and fears. I think he's doing a deal already with someone to succeed him. The Empress, it's a woman. I've always predicted that. He is stepping aside. It's a bombshell. It could be soon. I just want to say I'm pretty confident he steps aside and paves the way for a woman to step in and contest the next election for his Liberal Party, the Liberal Party in Canada. It's very clear. It's very clear to me. And it could take that decision, that stepping aside, could be soon, and allow this person, this woman coming through, to have some time as Prime Minister before an election needs to be called, because it is an uphill battle for him now, and he knows it. Now we get wish fulfillment, the Ten of Pentacles, legacies, and very skilled apprentice coming through. Yeah, it could get messy. The opposition could take this to some sort of court. I don't know the legalities of it all. If he steps aside, does he have to call an election right now, or can he just resign and allow someone else to come through? Either way, Canada's Liberal Party will get a new leader. It looks like it's going to be a woman. Thank you for tuning in.